passion, drive, persistence, resilience, love. All qualities that shape and define us. Join the Cyber Warrior as he helps shape your path. This is Walk With Me. Passion, drive, persistence, resilience, love. All qualities that shape and define us. Join the Cyber Warrior as he helps shape your path. This is Walk With Me. Welcome back to Walk With Me, a cyberwarriorstudios production. I'm your host on this journey, the Cyber Warrior. Now, over the past few weeks, everybody knows we've been doing a lot to help you. Last week, we made the decision that we're going to start answering some of your questions. And it was some advice given to me that they tend to like when I throw my own stories in there on how I've adapted and overcome. Well, it works out great this week. Because this week, the first question we got is, how do you do so much? So, in my life, I have always done a lot. My mind never settles, and I always feel like I can do more. Whether that was growing up playing sports, as well as being in academics and everything else I did in my life, there was never a time that I really sat down to do anything except for maybe a little bit of time in the morning or at night. As I got older, I didn't want to push myself as much initially. I couldn't settle, so I was always learning, but I just never really thought that pushing myself that hard was worth it. When I was looking for work, I kept learning, I kept going, but all I was doing was looking for a job. It wasn't until the military and getting out of the military and actually entering the real world, I guess you would say, with a family and with needing to help others, being my family, I had to provide, that I started doing more, and I wanted to do more. This went beyond my career. My career to me was a way to make money, but I knew that not only are there other ways to make money, but I wanted to help others besides my family, because I wanted to be a good influence for my kids, and I wanted the lessons that I give to you all to be something that I would tell my family, that I would tell my kids as they got older. So I looked at my life and I took a long, hard look at the things that I'd been through and realized that in order for me to accomplish everything I ever wanted to do, I would have to plan it out and I'd have to have goals. And if you go back to episode 2, when we talked about goals, the biggest thing that came to me was I wanted to help people, and so I planned for it. But in order for me to help others, I had to help myself. So then, as I was pushing more and more and more, whether that was in the military or out, it was taking time away from my family. I was doing so much and not giving back to them. So the whole reason for me to push, being them, and wanting to do more and wanting to do better, was actually taking away from what I gave to them. Well, that comes down to the fact that I wasn't planning. I wasn't using any form of time management. I was just going nonstop. I would work, I'd come home, and I'd work some more, I'd learn some more, and just keep going. When I saw the toll it was taking on me, in terms of how I treated my family, and it was taking a toll on my kids, I realized that things had to change. So I did. I changed. Started waking up earlier, before anybody else except for my wife woke up. And I started realizing that there were things that I could do right after I got done working that would help me to keep doing what I want to do to help the masses, to help those that needed help, whether it's breaking into their prospective career fields or getting through life, and still have time for my family, still have time for the little things. because honestly, it's the little things that matter. So I had to put all that into perspective, and I had a plan for it. I had to manage that time. Now, there's not to say that there's days where I put more time into content and social media and work than I do others, because sometimes things just need to get done. But it's not as often as it used to be. And it's because I have made it my mission to take my own advice. Not always. I'm always a work in progress. But enough that mentally I'm a lot stronger than I used to be, because I'm not constantly grinding. I'm not constantly pushing. I have my days where honestly I don't do anything besides work my full-time job, and then I get done and I'm with family the rest of the day. There's other days where I work my full-time job and I go a few hours later to get things done for you all. But at the end of the day, I still make time for family, to sit down and relax and spend time with my wife and kids. So in order to be able to do all that, you have to manage your time. And that's honestly the best way I could say how I do so much, is I manage my time. Sometimes not great, I won't lie. I still make mistakes. But that's how I go about doing it. Now, the next question is, how do I overcome burnout? And it lends to a lot of the same things I just talked about: goals, planning, and being aware of where I'm at mentally. This one's very important, though, and it's very important to me. I've talked about this a lot on previous shows and conferences as of late. Burnout is one of those things that you don't see until it's too late. Burnout is one of those things that until you finally break, you will never realize you're burned out. There have been many times in my career and in my life where I just wanted to quit. I wanted to give up, and I didn't want to continue going. And I never realized what it was until I started doing research and I started looking into the downfalls of, and pitfalls rather, of grind culture, of the hustle mentality. That being burnout. Now, what has saved me from doing anything drastic has been the resiliency that I built in my life and being able to stay mentally strong. But it doesn't mean I haven't felt it. It doesn't mean that there hasn't been days and weeks and months where I was not happy with where I was at and with what I was doing. And so to get past that, to overcome that, you have to step away and you have to take a break. The first vacation I truly had in years, and actually probably my first vacation ever as an adult, where I truly was in the moment, was 2 years ago. And it was the first time ever since I became a full-time working adult and parent and husband that I turned off my phone, or at least all the notifications, so that I could actually be there. It was that week that refreshed me, that brought me back to who I was. And then I did it again over the holidays that same year. And I've done it every year since, anytime I'm on vacation or if I'm off work. That means no social media, except for on the very few occasions where I'm just sitting outside and not with anybody. But for the most part, about 98% of my day, I don't even look at my phone whenever I'm cutting myself off. And honestly, it is the best thing I've ever done, because we are so surrounded by our careers, of our goals, of our dreams, and we're grinding and hustling so much that sometimes I wonder, what you're really doing it for. And I had to really consider what I was doing it for. Yes, I want to support my family. Yes, I want to help others. But if that is my sole goal, my sole purpose, then nothing I ever do will be enough. So you have to really look at your why. So I know that everything I do for my family and I do for other people. And as long as I'm providing for them, and as long as I am giving good advice, or providing a roof over my family's head, or the little things, like I said, then I am accomplishing my goals and I can step away. In my full-time job, the moment I am not able to give 100% and my work starts to go down, or my motivation to be there starts to dwindle, I know it's time for me to take a break. So I put in PTO. I take my time off. I may even take a 3 or 4 day weekend. But I get that time and I use it to rejuvenate myself. Because without having hobbies, without being able to step away, without going outside and being in the sun, you're gonna burn yourself out. And lately I have found that the biggest factor for me is just that, going in the sun. Because when I wake up early, especially at like 5:30 in the morning, it is quiet. It is peaceful. And it allows me to just collect myself for the day. So in order for you to keep from burning out, if your PTO isn't for another month or another few weeks, but you still need that time for yourself to collect yourself, then either in the evenings after you're done with work, or in the mornings if you're a morning person, wake up, go outside, and just be in the moment. No one else around, nothing else going on, just be. Because in order to really take care of your mental health, in order to really combat burnout, and not just overcome it, but prevent it, you have to really know yourself. You have to know your ups and downs and be willing to overcome adversity, overcome what's going on. And you have to be willing to know when it's coming, or even when it's there. Some of us get depressed and we don't know why. A lot of times it's because we've not looked at the why. And the why can come from you have been pushing so hard for so long and never taken a moment to look at yourself and what you're doing. So get outside, relax, take a breath, meditate. I can give you countless things you can do. But it all relies on you taking an introspective look at yourself and realizing when your body and your mind are not acting like they have been. When your ability to do anything starts to degrade. When your willingness to take part in the simplest of activities or even the funnest of things that you used to do, and you're no longer willing to do it, you really need to take a look at yourself and what you've been doing. And if you have not taken a break, if you have not stepped away, if you have not taken time off, you really need it. And if it's bad enough, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. Don't be afraid to talk to a psychologist, a friend, a coworker, a parent, a sibling, a cousin, somebody. Because sometimes they're going to be the ones that'll tell you, take a breath and look at yourself and look at what you're doing. Because like myself, we can be very, very bad at taking our own advice. And sometimes we need to hear when our welfare, when our mental health looks to be a little on edge. So make sure you're talking to people. Make sure you reach out and talk to friends and family and other support. And make sure that if you need it, talk to a psychologist. Don't be afraid to talk to doctors. I'm sure many of us have done it, and it helps when you find the right one. But otherwise, this has been an amazing episode. And honestly, these are two very, very important questions. So if you have more questions, please do not hesitate to submit them. The link is in the show notes and it's on my website, and I have posted it on all of my social media, and I will continue to do so every week. So as we're ending this episode, you know I end every episode with a little bit of wisdom. So let me give you a little bit. And this one's going to be from the Havamal, stanza 119. I counsel you, Lord Fafnir, if you'll take my advice, you'll profit if you learn it. It'll do you good if you remember it. If you have a friend and you trust him, go and visit him often. Weeds in high grass will grow on a path that nobody travels. And I give you this little bit of advice and this little bit of wisdom because, like I just said, it helps to talk to a friend. It helps to visit friends. And sometimes they're the ones that see us on that downward spiral that we sometimes miss. So if you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to give us a rating and review down below. And I really hope that you'd consider sharing this episode to all of your friends and anyone you feel that needs to hear it. Otherwise, this has been another episode of Walk With Me, a Cyber Warrior Studios production. And as always, I'm your host on the journey, the Cyber Warrior.